First thing in the morning, we visit the Old Spanish Trail Park on the west side of town. This is where we're meeting Ashley Hall of the Old Spanish Trail Association.
Yeah, good morning.
Thanks for being
morning,
here.
Ashley.
Welcome to the Old Spanish Trail.
Thanks.
Thanks for being out here.
Yeah, it's funny, we're not used to being in town doing this program, and I see walls and houses and trees and streets. So what is it about this area that made you think we should start here?
This is one of the last segments of the Old Spanish Trail that's visible through the Las Vegas Valley. And as you can see, growth has come right up to the trail.
Yeah.
Actually, growth goes way past the trail.
It's a busy area, but so this is actually the trail itself?
This is the trail. 1829 to 1848. Mule trains were taken from Santa Fe, New Mexico, around through Colorado and Utah and Nevada across the Mojave Desert to California. But as growth has taken place and palm trees have been planted, the environment in Las Vegas Valley has changed. And so one of our goals today is to follow the Old Spanish Trail from Las Vegas out into Immigrant Pass in California.
So when was the Old Spanish Trail used?
There's some history about the Ute Indians actually using a trail that went into Southern California in 1800 to acquire livestock, generally mules and horses, and then take them back across the trail for sale. And so the Old Spanish Trail has been used by fur trappers, traders, and later immigrants.
Well, and I think today it'll be used by us to get to go explore. Should we go take a walk on it?
Yes.
Ashley leads us through the park as we begin our journey following in the footsteps of so many who came this way before.
As part of the Nevada Centennial Celebration in 1964, a group of enthusiasts put up 34 markers along the trail from the Utah, Arizona, Nevada border to the California border along the Old Spanish Trail. We will see many of these today as we go south along the trail.
A few miles down South Durango and Blue Diamond Road reconnects us with the trail at Blue Diamond. At the south edge of town, Ashley introduces us to Glenn Shaw, the Trail Association's Nevada director.
I wanted to meet Glenn Shaw,
Glenn, nice to meet you.
the director of the Old Spanish Trail Association for Nevada, also the mayor of Blue Diamond.
A continually growing community, as it seems. We've got construction happening right behind us and right along this trail, so I guess it's still an attractive spot for people.
And really with the rate at which Las Vegas and Blue Diamond has grown, that's part of what's so important about an association like the Old Spanish Trail Association.
Well, it is, because it has to preserve and protect the Old Spanish Trail so it's not encroached by all the construction and development going on.
Well, I'm excited to actually get out on the trail a little bit, and I'm ready to get a little trail dust on me.
You want to go for a walk?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go for a walk. You can see a segment of the Old Spanish Trail right here.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're
Easy
looking
to be
at?
seen. Yes.
So as we go up the hill, that's part of the Old Spanish Trail.
That's the Old Spanish Trail.
We'll actually be on it.
Yeah, we're on the trail.
Yep.
The view from the top allows us a look back to Red Rock Canyon, a striking reminder of yesterday's adventure. We thank Glenn and continue on our journey. From Blue Diamond, we backtrack to State Route 160 and head west past some trail landmarks and scenic landscape. Not quite 20 miles down the road, Ashley has us pull over to share one of his favorite spots.
So Ashley, you brought us out into the desert. What are we looking at?
Well, you're looking at the Salt Lake to Los Angeles Road. This is probably the best example of the trail and road that there is in existence that I'm aware of out in the Mojave Desert area. And so you'll see a result of the Old Spanish Trail being used as a trail with only hoofed animals But as you look a little deeper, you'll find that it turned into a road. I had a bunch of Boy Scouts camping out here, but we took a bunch of them down the trail, and we took them to an old yucca tree. And as we stood looking on toward Immigrant Pass, I said to them, can you imagine the old Spanish Trail caravan going toward Immigrant Pass? 100 mules with riders in between? This little boy said, I can see it. Then another boy said, I can see it. So part of the old Spanish Trail and part of history is to try to picture yourself in the same position that those people were in those days.
I can absolutely feel that sense of history and movement.
If you turn yourself about, you can see Immigrant Pass out in the distance. That's a great vista of about 50 miles.
Let's go see it.
The last leg of our tour takes us along State Route 160 and Tecopa Road into California, following the old Spanish Trail Highway up into the Nopah Range.
As you climb up this portion of the pass, on the left we can see where the old road came up.
Oh yeah. Right.
The slope that we're paralleling here.
And then you can also see just beyond that, next into the hill, is the trail of the old Spanish Trail.
The little skinny, the mule trail, right? The
mule
skinnier
trail.
version.
Yeah.
And is that pole up there, is that one of the markers of the old trail?
As we get on top and look over, you'll be able to see where the marker is, where the Spanish Trail went by.
Ah, very cool. Oh yeah. Wow. Whew.
That's gorgeous.
What a view. The word expansive comes to mind. This is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And you can see where the road went down through, and then the old Spanish Trail comes across the top and over there.
Thank you, Ashley. This has been such a great day.
It's been good being with you today.
I appreciate passing through history with you.
Yes.
That was a really interesting day, and now sometime we'll have to go the other direction.
I kind of now have a little more understanding of what the old Spanish Trail truly means. It's not just a term, it was a cultural movement.
Yeah.
Have more respect now for those people who did this, because in a car, it's significant.
Santa Fe to LA through wild Nevada.